Hey everybody, welcome back. I know it's been a while since I've done an actual review, and I wanted to thank all 12 of you for sticking it out. I spent the first year of this channel experimenting and trying to find myself as a content creator, and I think I found my niche, my slice of the YouTube world as it were. Dollar store films. I'm talking old kung fu movies, bad sword and sorcery, mockbusters, 8-for-1 movie packs, anything you would expect to see on the shelves of a dollar store or at the bottom of a Walmart bargain bin. New year, new me. And we're going to kick off the new year with a little film titled Kung Fu, The Invisible Fist. And right out of the gate, I am pretty sure that that's a mistranslation. I've seen copies of this movie with the title The Invincible Fist, and honestly that makes a lot more sense. But I got my copy from a dollar store. What were you expecting? Consistency? It came out in 1972, written and directed by... I'm not even gonna attempt to pronounce that. I'm just gonna put it on the screen. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a trailer for this film, and the trailers are usually amazing. But during my research, I did manage to stumble across a poster. Breathe it in. This thing is majestic. The fight for supremacy between the Kung Fu and Karate masters. Only one will survive. Learn the kick of death. Learn the punch of death. Learn the limits of your own mortality when you try out the punch of death and are in turn beaten like a drum in an EDM track. This poster creates the false expectation that I will become a kung fu master just by watching the film. Well, come on then, movie. Teach me your death-dealing ways.
I must learn the techniques.
We start out with a shot of this guy, Jai Tai, also known as
the Hungry Tiger,
teaching karate to some students. Props to the film here, they are actually doing karate, and the guy playing Jai Tai is Yasukai Kurata, a pretty well-known Japanese actor and an expert in karate, judo, and aikido. A government official,
the Chief of Japanese Special Military Operations, Commander Dasan,
has come to offer Jai Tai a job, but first Jai Tai shows him his resolve, and then hospitalizes the chief's bodyguards to prove that he's the right man for the job. I swear, if I'm not forced to fight goons at my next job interview, I'm going to be sorely disappointed. Japan has been planning a big military operation.
invade China.
But first, they need to gather information from some of their spies. So Jai Tai is offered 1,000 pounds of gold to go to Shanghai to serve as an info drop. I'm not sure what the going rate for a spy is, but that seems like a lot. He agrees, and finds out that his contact is going to be the Tai'an Shipping Company. Also the usual bit, if you're caught, we don't know you. Now we cut to a field where a squad of Chinese cops are running drills. We get introduced to our main character, Detective Li Chang. He shows his men how to properly hit people with your gun, and then goes off to headquarters to meet with the chief, leaving Su Dong, his second-in-command, in charge of the troops. The movie holds way too long on this shot of him strolling down a hallway. Then we get to see some of his spy-catching prowess. Damn, I need to keep that technique in mind for when my cat's chewing on things he shouldn't be. The chief has called him in because the commissioner from Shanghai wants him to come down and infiltrate a criminal organization that's been running a human trafficking racket. Li enthusiastically agrees.
And I'll take Su Dong. I'll tell him. When do I start?
Over in Shanghai, we're introduced to 3 side characters as they take a bike ride around the seashore. I love how they're just sitting there waiting for their cue when the camera cuts to them. Like the film's editor couldn't just cut in the shot while they were already riding the bike, instead of leaving in the bit with them awkwardly staring at the camera waiting for the go-ahead. They're dropping off their friend Little Joker at the docks where he works as a shoe shine.
I hope you have a good day.
We'll see you again tonight.
Thanks a lot. Goodbye.
Did the voice actor just give Little Joker a stereotypical racist Chinese accent? Why, though? The vast majority of this movie's cast are Chinese, and they all have normal voices. This guy's over here like... Now we get our first look at the gang of human traffickers, who it turns out are the Tai'an Shipping Company Jai Tai is in contact with. This raises a question. Why, oh why, would the Japanese government put their spy in contact with a criminal organization? You would think they'd want to place their spy into a position where it wouldn't be under investigation by the local authorities. I mean, what would they do if the random-ass crime lord decided to maximize his profits by, I don't know, ransoming the spy back to Japan or selling him to the Chinese government? But nah, that would fuck with the whole plot. So, they meet the crime lord's son, who's out on the docks beating the crap out of some guys. He asks for a demonstration of Japanese karate, so Jai-Tai's bodyguard fucking destroys a random dockhand. Little Joker suddenly has a customer, and as the camera pans up to reveal their face, we can see that it's Detective Lee, right before the camera cuts. What? What is up with that cut? It feels like there should be more to this scene, but the editor was just like, yeah, fuck it, and cut to the next. You want to know what Lee is up to on the docks? Of course not. Here's the girl from the bike getting kidnapped, and Lee in his hotel room penning a letter to his fiancée. Get dunked on! Also, I might point out that through the whole movie, we've had this audio-visual distortion going on, but in this kidnapping scene, it is absolutely atrocious. And then we just cut back to where we left off with some guy slapping his foot up on Little Joker's shoe shine block, but this time, it's not Lee. This guy is a random thug from the gang, and he tries to skip out on paying Little Joker, saying the price went up.
The price hasn't gone up at all. That's normal.
I'm never gonna get over that voice. Little Joker decides to mess with him, but ends up catching a beating and has to be rescued by his friend with the bike. That doesn't go so well either, so they both have to be rescued by Sudong. Sudong manhandles the two thugs who run off to get the rest of the gang, so Sudong uses this as his opportunity to infiltrate their ranks, and is almost caught because of a bruise on his shoulder that the gang leader identifies as a rifle mark. And only cops would have those. Lee arrives and points out that most dock workers have similar bruises from carrying things over their shoulders, so the leader releases Sudong. I have questions. How many random-ass dock workers has the crime lord bumped off thinking they're police officers? Does he do this with every new hire? Because it seems like a lot of his subordinates are dock workers, likely to have that same bruise. Anyway, the crime boss, apparently named
Lin San Tai.
has Lee fight a bunch of goons to prove his worth. He wipes out 5 people pretty quick, so Lin invites him back to his mansion, where Lee and Sudong meet Jai-Tai and his bodyguard for the first time. Sudong and the bodyguard quickly get into a fight, starting up a heated rivalry and foreshadowing that they'll probably fight to the death at the end of the film. During a party to celebrate the new hires, Lin has his men bring out some of the girls he's kidnapped, including Anna, the one from the bike ride earlier. Sudong picks her, brings her outside, and tells her to run off home. Apparently no one notices she's missing because this is never mentioned by the gang. The next day, Lee reveals his suspicion to Sudong that something isn't quite right about Jai-Tai. Then we cut to Jai-Tai receiving some information from one of the spies. Then we're back at the docks. Bike guy, apparently named Da Bal, gets caught pickpocketing someone and gets his ass kicked. Again, he's rescued by Sudong, who starts up a friendship with him and Little Joker. They go to introduce him to their friend Anna, only to find out the two already know each other. This movie likes to jump around between several smaller scenes, I'm noticing. Lee meets up with one of his contacts from headquarters, who's been looking into the pair from Japan for him, but they haven't learned anything and tell him to focus on the human trafficking ring. Conveniently, a few feet away, Lee spots Jai-Tai receiving a package from one of the spies, and rushes off to search his room, only to find that Jai-Tai has somehow beaten him back. The guy's just sitting in his room, not even winded, even though he must have sprinted like a madman to beat Lee back. When questioned as to why he decided to burst into Jai-Tai's room unannounced, Lee comes up with a lie that Sudong and the bodyguard were fighting again. Lucky for him, Sudong and the bodyguard picked that exact moment to start up a brawl in the courtyard. Jai-Tai decides that Lee and Sudong are a danger to his plans, but rather than kill him himself,
I'll think of a way to convince Lin. And then he'll kill them.
this is my favorite cut in the movie. Just look at Jai-Tai spin around here. It's like the dramatic groundhog. He hatches a plan with Lin to determine once and for all whether or not Lee and Sudong are spies sent by the police. Lin tells Lee that a big shipment is going out and that he wants him and Sudong there. Lee thinks it's a trap and tells Sudong not to alert the superiors, but Sudong disobeys. Turns out Lee was right and the whole thing is a setup. Instead of going down to the docks, Lee and Sudong are shoved into chairs with knives at their throats and told the shipment will in fact be going out the next night. The crates on the docks are full of explosives, so when the police open them, they'll be blown to bits. And then when the explosions are heard, the goons can slit Lee and Sudong's throats. Lee remains calm, considering he's under the impression that Sudong listened to him. Meanwhile, Sudong is understandably panicked. Lucky for them, though, it's comic relief to the rescue. The bike friends arrive at the compound to try and sneak Joker aboard the boat with the shipment, since his sister was taken a few years back and he wants to go and find her. While sneaking in, he overhears Lynn's plan, so he tells Dabal to flag down the police who are speeding their way towards the docks. He's successful, and the crisis is averted. Lee and Sudong are absolved of all suspicion, much to the chagrin of Jaitai. The next day, Little Joker and Dabal pickpocket somebody else, though this time it winds up being one of the spies. They end up with the map the spy intended to give to Jaitai. Lee and Sudong get their hands on it, and Lee goes to call the commissioner while Sudong waits for the guy with the wallet to return. The commissioner tells Lee to forget about the map and spies, but Lee's having none of it. Sudong, meanwhile, is beating the hell out of the guy the map was stolen from, trying to get him to reveal who it was for, but unsuccessfully. Eventually, Lee arrives and gets him to talk, finding out the map was meant for Jaitai. This kicks off the film's climax. Now, there's still a full half an hour of this film to go, 1/3 of this movie, and it's all one big action sequence. Lee runs to the mansion to confront Jaitai, but apparently Jaitai knows something is up and starts running. Lee catches up, and they have one of my favorite exchanges in the film.
Do you know, in Japan, what they call me there? It's the Hungry Tiger.
Oh, really? I have a nickname, too. The Crazy Dragon.
I fucking love it, with the dramatic musical stings and everything. Look at the reactions. Fucking nicknames are serious business in the martial arts world, I guess. Then we're off! The first big chunk of this fight is a chase scene where Jaitai runs through the streets of Shanghai with Lee hot on his heels. They have a couple of exchanges here and there, climb some buildings, then the bodyguard arrives and tries to hit Lee with a car. Jaitai jumps in, they take off with Lee clinging to the roof. They manage to shake him off eventually, but crash the car in the process. So the bodyguard tells Jaitai to run while he holds off Lee. Just as the two clash, the camera cuts to Dabal, who sees Jaitai driving down the road and decides to start chasing him. Dabal stops him by throwing his bike out in front of the car, which causes the car to fall apart and explode. Because that's how that works. Jaitai kicks the shit out of Dabal, then straight murders Little Joker and runs off. Now we cut back to the fight against the bodyguard. Lee is just friggin' gone, and Sudong is the one fighting. They go back and forth a bit until the bodyguard chucks two throwing knives into Sudong's chest. Sudong just plucks them right out and throws them back into the bodyguard's stomach, then runs up and kicks them further in, killing off the bodyguard once and for all. Turns out Sudong wore a straw mat under his shirt, and that stopped the knives. Meanwhile, Jaitai has made it to one of the docks. A boat arrives and Jaitai jumps on, thinking he's saved, but it turns out Lee was the one driving the boat. Now we begin the final showdown, with these two just going at it and slugging each other back and forth, and this goes on for ages. They lose articles of clothing, they start pulling out weapons and fighting with those, then they lose the weapons and go back to fighting with fists. Each time one ends up on the ropes, you think the fight's almost over, and then they make a comeback, and it just keeps going. Honestly, it goes on way too long. Sure, the choreography is great, they use the space they're fighting in really well, and it's the long-awaited showdown between the masters of Kung Fu and Karate. But there's only so long you can hold an audience's interest, and we've already had a full 20 minutes of non-stop action before this point. That's the thing about action films. You have to add in slower moments in between the action, moments of rest in between the action, breaks in the action to ramp up the audience for yet more action. Are you getting tired of me saying the word action? Well, then you can kind of understand how I feel about this climax. In the end, Lee comes out on top, retrieving the maps from the severely beaten Jaitai and returning to his friends. They pick up Joker's body, and the movie ends with them walking down the road side by side. So, of course, every movie I'll be covering is bad, but how do we determine just how bad? Introducing the Tommageddon Scale of Awful, ranking garbage movies on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being enjoyably bad, and 1 making me want to drink bleach. As far as this film goes, the story is pretty standard fare. The hardened cop goes undercover in a criminal organization and gets more than he bargained for. Everyone, literally everyone in this movie, with the exception of Anna, knows Kung Fu, from the shoe shine down to random passerbys, and they are ready to throw hands at the drop of a hat. The plot just serves as filler between extended fight sequences. The crime lord's son is entirely pointless. He appears in 2 scenes, then the movie forgets about him. Hell, the crime lord himself doesn't even have anything to do with the film's climax. He and his human trafficking ring are just left by the wayside and we never see a resolution. The characters are pretty one-dimensional and forgettable, generally boiled down to a single character trait. The translation dubbing is actually okay, considering the medium. The problem with that is, it works against the movie. Mediocre dubbing mixed with bland storytelling and cardboard characters equals boring. At least with the badly done dubs, you can look forward to some quotable lines like,
It's from India.
The only line from this movie I can remember is the stupid, overly dramatic nickname exchange. That, coupled with the absolutely staggering 30-minute action sequence, are the only things keeping this film from being entirely forgettable. On the Tommageddon scale of awful, I give this movie a 5. There's nothing offensively bad, but there's really nothing of substance either. It's the absolute middle of the road, and so deserves a middle-of-the-road score. You know, there's actually another film titled The Rage of the Wind? It stars the same cast and follows basically the same plot, coming out a year later in 1973. I've seen little bits of it, and it is in fact an entirely different movie. Maybe the filmmakers saw the error of their ways and tried to put out a better product. Maybe it's worth checking out in its entirety. Anyway, I've been Tom, and thanks for watching Tommageddon.